What makes you afraid? Some of All Fear lives at the crossroads between our greatest phobias and the horror movies we love to experience. Part pop culture and part psychology. It's time to find out why we're all so scared of the dark.
That's why you don't eat popcorn right before.
I know I'm an amateur.
You always show up for these with like, you've got like bowls of like grapes and popcorn and tea and like you like set up this whole like
well, it is post work. We haven't had dinner.
This is podcast time.
I know, but these things help fuel my mind and my creativity.
These help fuel all those they help those synapses to fire.
Right. Synapses firing and releasing of everything. And yeah, absolutely.
I see. All right. We're back.
Yay. Hi,
Welcome
we're back
to the Sum of All Fear podcast, guys. My name is Drew, and I'm the history and horror nerd. And this is my much more intelligent mental health therapist, better half, Chris.
Hey.
And as always, guys, if you like the show, if you've listened to us before, please go to your podcast apps, give us a rating and a review. Check out our social media. We're on Facebook at Sum of All Fear Podcast, on Twitter and Instagram as well at Sum of All Fear Pod. And any questions on phobias or movies, or you just want to chat with us directly, send us an email. We would love that. Send us an email to sumofallfearpodcast at gmail.com. So yeah, we're back. Episode 12.
12.
Yep.
Lucky number 12.
Yep. So we're still doing this thing. Huh?
We're preteens at this.
Oh, I know. We're like experienced podcasters now.
Yeah.
We have microphones. We edit stuff sometimes.
By we mean you.
We lose whole sections and talk about technical difficulties.
That has happened to us so much.
We didn't do that. It didn't. It only happened to us one episode.
Right.
One episode mainly. We have kinkling of my whiskey
much
going into my mouth. Scotch. Oh, I don't drink scotch though. But
no.
Bourbon.
That doesn't sound as good.
Good old Jim Beam today. It's Jim Beam.
Why did you choose
my
that?
Whiskey of choice, which is normally my whiskey of choice at the bar. I'm a bourbon guy. I'm not a Tennessee whiskey guy.
No.
I don't like, I'll drink scotch every now and then, but, and I'll drink, I'll take a shot of Irish whiskey if I have a buddy drinking Jameson or something, but not my thing. I'm a bourbon guy.
You will drink anything after a few drinks though.
Well, sure. I mean, especially if it's free.
Right.
I mean, free alcohol. Nobody turns that down, right? You do sometimes.
The light switch in your head went immediately. Oh wait, no, she does.
I've seen you do it. Yep,
oh, never mind.
Happened.
Nope.
And I do turn it down if it's at if it is at that time where like this is a bad idea. I shouldn't have that last one.
You ever have that time where you take one and then immediately after you go, oh no.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, I should not have done that.
I don't do it as much. That doesn't happen as much as it used to, when I was younger. But every now and then, there's still that one shot too many. It does happen. So, how have you been this week, honey?
It has hit the ground running 0 to 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to have a lot of work to be doing. My brain is just like fried right now, though. It feels
Monday
like
fried. We're doing it on a Monday night. So
yeah,
that's always a tougher night to do it. I think.
Yeah.
Sunday we couldn't. We just didn't. We had a lot going on yesterday.
Well, how about you?
Running all over the place. I don't. Not much, man. This last week we got baseball kicking off. I just got our schedule, so we have 28 games in like 60 days between the two kids teams. So baseball is like ridiculous right now.
We're plotting our like meal plans for parents on the go, and
so stupid. And
it's gonna be fun.
You didn't get to play roller derby because you're still busted up. Your foot's all
no,
fuckered up.
I didn't get to play, but the Carson Victory Rollers won 203 to 153 against the Lockford Liberators.
Ooh.
So we fucking killed it.
And you were coaching.
I was bench coaching.
So you got a chance to participate. You were participating.
Yeah, Blocky, myself, and Amber Ale were all bench coaching. So kind of running the team and making sure people got out there and watching the penalty box and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. And we had, so we did that. That was Saturday. Saturday we did some baseball stuff, did some roller derby stuff. And then our friend Tommy, while you were coaching, I went and represented us with our buddy Tommy's birthday. And we had some sushi. Sushi before going out is always a bad idea. We were going to go, everybody was going to go out and drink and party it up, which
sushi
coma. We did end up doing, but almost didn't because everybody was in sushi comas. And I saw the looks on everybody's faces like, I think I want to go home and sleep.
Yeah, the carbohydrate bomb just like sets in right as you're about to leave.
We rallied. Took a couple of shots,
does.
couple of birthday party shots.
Ended up at the karaoke bar.
Yeah, ended up at the karaoke bar.
Did some yoki.
I did Piano Man, which is my
I sent you that
10
list.
drinks in song.
I sent you that list of other songs.
That was on that song on that
I
list.
know, but I was hoping that you would see it and go, "Oh, this is other things like that." I've
only sung Piano Man like a couple times.
And
that's that is my song now, I think.
And then choose something different.
That's the one I choose now. Everybody's got to have their one karaoke song. So I think that's mine. It's the only one I can get through, like when I'm slightly inebriated.
It's the only one you can mumble through.
Yeah, and then we watched the Joe Bob marathon on Friday night. That's right.
Oh,
you and we live tweeted. If anybody was paying attention on Twitter, we live tweeted the Joe Bob marathon.
That was so much fun.
I love it. It's not really a marathon anymore. It's just his show now. It's like he does two movies.
But it's a live show, which makes it even better.
Well, it's not live.
Well,
I thought it was live. I was wrong. I'm pretty sure it's pre-recorded.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I think everybody thinks it's live, but it's not. It's pre-recorded.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think Joe Lynch, who's a director. He's a director. He was trying to figure out how Barbara Crampton was texting while she or tweeting while she was being interviewed, and somebody had to be like, "Joe, I'm sorry, bud. Sorry to tell you, I'm pretty sure this is pre-recorded."
Oh,
and he was like, "Oh no,
that's heartbreaking." I had this whole idea that we were actually bridging the gap between us and JB.
Yeah, I don't think so, unfortunately.
He did a meatloaf on us.
I suppose I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's too produced. I don't think there's a chance that it could be live.
I still loved it though.
It was great. It was awesome. He did C.H.U.D first, which I had only seen once before, and it's kind of a cult classic, and Joe Bob kind of ripped it a new asshole.
I kind of like Joe Bob's take.
Yeah, his take on it was pretty good though. It was like a Home Alone prequel is what I decided it was. Because it had John Hurd and
everybody from Home Alone was in it.
And what's his name? John Hurd and the other bandit, except that's not Joe Pesci. I can't think of his name right now.
The not Joe Pesci bandit.
Yeah, and it's just it's just okay. It's I think Joe Bob's probably got it. I think he kind of nailed it. It's kind of tries to be more sophisticated than it actually is. And it's got a bunch of these actors who are not really horror people that are trying to make it into some sort of, something more than what it is. And then in the meantime, you don't really get to see the Chuds enough.
Right.
You want to see more Chud.
Not enough Chud.
I mean, some of you might want to see more Chode, but I wanted to see more Chud, because, they weren't even the Chuds themselves weren't that great.
Right.
They were just okay.
But having to sit through it to wait for Joe Bob, I would do it any day.
Oh yeah,
just to hear him talk and ramble about nothing or everything.
Yeah, but then after you fell asleep because you missed the whole second.
He should have played Chud second.
He really should have. Although he would have lost a lot of people, I think, if he had played Chud second, because he played Castle Freak second, which is a badass movie by a Stuart Gordon movie with that's a H.P. Lovecraft based.
But don't people love that?
It's a great movie. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. If you had played Chud second, you would have people dropping off because they'd be like, Chud, and falling asleep in the second one.
Yes.
But you fell asleep anyway.
That's okay. It's on the Shudder app now. So.
Barbara Crampton, Jeffrey Combs. I mean, that's just a badass. That's a badass movie. I really like Castle Freak.
What I saw,
it's dark. It's actually a lot darker than I remembered it being from when I saw it last. Like it doesn't have a lot of, Stuart Gordon has a lot. Reanimator and stuff's kind of, kind of fun. It's fun and funny and kind of slapsticky and has a lot of comedy. No fucking comedy in Castle Freak, man. It's just like brutal kind of start to finish. So
Yeah, the intro credits were really scary.
that's which is all you saw.
For sure.
But yeah, that was fun. Joe Bob, we'll do that again this week, I think.
I love it. That's our Friday tradition.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have the boys back this week. They're out of town with their mom in Phoenix right now. But yeah, we'll make them watch some Joe Bob.
Yeah.
What's appropriate, and then what's not, we'll kick them in and go play video games, and we'll watch the rest of it.
Either that or we'll have some splaining to do.
Maybe. Yeah. But we'll do that live tweeting again. That was fun. I had a good time with that.
You did great.
And we had a lot of retweets. Darcy, the mail girl, retweeted us a bunch of times.
She's so sweet.
And Joe Bob retweeted us a couple times, and Shudder retweeted us a couple times. And so, that's always fun.
It's exciting stuff.
Get a little traction out there in podcast social media world. But with that, we should probably transition into our trivia game. What do you think?
What trivia game is that?
The trivia game that's sweeping the nation.
Everybody's favorite trivia game.
Everybody's favorite trivia game.
Phobia-based trivia game.
It's time for everyone's favorite phobia-based trivia game.
What the fear? You say it now.
What the fear?
There you go. Okay, you have to say it like that.
All right, we're here to answer the question, what the fear? That's the question we're asking.
What the fear?
What the fear?
What the fear?
Yeah. It's where we give some clues and hints, and then you make me guess what phobia we're talking about, and I inevitably answer incorrectly.
No, you crushed it last time. You got 2 out of 3.
I did get 2 out of 3 last time.
I can't wait for the 3 out of 3
clues,
day.
it helps when you get clues. When you didn't get clues, it was a lot more out of left field. For sure.
I ran out of information on like celebrity phobias, so I had to improvise and figure out how to keep this going without, Well,
what we should do? We need to flip flop it. I need to start giving you. I need to host.
That's no fun.
At some point. Oh, that would be fun. Be really fun.
No, because I can explain the psychology behind these phobias.
What, you don't think I can read out of a Wikipedia article either?
Is that what you're calling my degree?
That's what I call your research.
That whole 2 years.
That's what I call your research on these phobias. I'm pretty sure that you're just finding them on the internet and then explaining some of the information about them.
I'm finding a lot, but there's a lot of things that are put together.
I'm not downplaying your strong intellect.
You might kind of be.
And your sophisticated fancy degrees. I'm just saying, we should flip-flop this and let me host and put you in the hot seat.
Sure.
Put that fancy degree to work. God.
I didn't study the Greek roots of anything either, so it's not like I'll do much better. I don't claim to ever do better either.
Oh. Yeah,
if you ask me like DSM diagnoses, I would absolutely crush every single
You think so?
one.
You got that whole big old thick manual memorized?
I think I could narrow it down enough, given like a hint,
They changed that damn thing so much.
They just changed it.
I know. It's all crazy now.
So I just finished,
You can't even use the word crazy anymore, can you?
No, you haven't been able to.
You've never been able to?
The 80s.
That's not proper?
No, it's not even
Looney Tunes?
It's not even like a behavioral health term.
Biddy. That's all, folks?
I think it's a cartoon term.
All right. Why don't you...
Is that pig? What's that pig's name?
Porky.
Porky
Pig.
Porky.
Biddy. That's all, folks.
It's like how I can do... can I do Daffy Duck?
I think you do. That's Donald Duck.
Donald.
That's
okay.
Disney.
I can never remember which one.
That's not Looney Tunes.
No?
No. Oh.
We're way off. Okay. Anyways, back to the phobias.
Wow. Yeah.
That was a tangent. Thanks for coming on that journey with us, folks. All right. Are you ready for...
Journey through our childhood cartoons.
Right. Are you ready for your first phobia?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
Bring it.
Your first phobia is porphyrophobia.
Spell that for me.
Porphyro phobia. Porphyrophobia. And your hint is
PHY. So it's porphyrophobia.
porphyrophobia. Sorry.
PHY. Oh, what was it?
PORPHYRO. Porphyrophobia.
RO. Porphyriophobia.
Porphyrophobia.
Is it IR or RI?
What?
This is why we need flashcards.
There was no I.
No
Where
I.
did you get I?
Oh, Y. Sorry.
Y.
PHY. Right?
Yeah.
YR.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
YRO.
YRO. Porphyrophobia.
Porphyrophobia. Yes.
POR?
Yes.
Flashcards. I'm telling you we need flashcards.
I'm watching you struggle so hard with
this.
Too
many damn letters. We cannot keep them straight. We need flashcards.
How do the letters help you?
Because I can see it. I can actually see the word.
No, I know, but like...
Porphyrophobia.
Porphyrophobia.
Okay, give me a hint.
It's an Alice Walker novel.
And I'm supposed to know who that is?
You're very culturated.
I must not be that cultured. I think I know the name. I don't think I know what Alice Walker wrote.
They would really despise the LSU Tigers.
Ooh, porphyrophobia. Fear of the color purple?
Shit, yeah, you got it really right. Yeah.
the LSU Tigers.
Air 5. Good job.
Oh, the color purple. Oh, that's what Alice Walker wrote.
Alice
that's
Walker,
why I didn't know.
The color purple.
No,
good job.
The color purple.
You're
was
fun.
That an Oprah? Didn't Oprah star in that like TV remake
or make
of that? I'm pretty sure she did.
Wasn't that a Hallmark movie?
Yeah, it was kind of like a
Your mom probably
it was a made for TV series or movie. Wow, I'm getting good at this.
Yeah.
So but you're again, I think these clues, are you making the clues too easy? I don't know.
Tigers,
LSU Tigers, I guess because I knew they were purple and gold.
Right. But you could have gone with fear of cats, fear of Louisiana, fear of the swamp. There's a lot of ways you could have gone, but you chose purple.
So are you giving me the credit? Are you giving me credit for getting the right answer?
I always do.
Well, I know, but I feel like I'm getting too many easy hints now.
Oh.
Are we dumbing it down too much?
Well, I can dumb it up some.
I just don't feel comfortable. This is a weird position to be in right now because I've been so used.
You're like, why am I winning?
For 10 episodes, I've been very used to being humiliated.
I really honestly want you to just lean into the discomfort of the experience and be
okay with it.
lean
into the discomfort of being right.
Yeah, there you go. Just lean into it. I can't believe I ever thought I would have to say that to you.
There was one time that I was wrong. It was that one time that I thought I was wrong, but I was actually right. That's how it normally is. Yeah.
Well, the fun fact about porphyrophobia is that there's actually a movie that came out in 2014 called Porphyrophobia, and it's a drama horror about a son with the fear of the color purple and his mother, Violet, before a rare celestial event and kind of their relationship and what happens.
A B movie?
I don't know. You should look it up, maybe watch it.
I'll have to check it out. That sounds interesting.
Porphyrophobia, 2014. Are you ready for the next one?
I am ready.
Okay. Lachanophobia. LACHANO.
Okay. Got that one. Don't need to have you repeat it again.
Okay.
Lachanophobia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And your hint is that it frequently affects children ages 2 to 6.
Ooh, lachanophobia frequently affects children ages 2 to 6. Lachanophobia. Lachanophobia. 2 to 6. The fear of the toilet.
No, but that's a really good guess.
I was thinking like potty training time.
Right. 6 would be,
a little bit old.
6, but it would be like the end cusp of
older range.
Yeah. Right? No, it happens.
Right.
No, it's actually
you'd be pretty bummed if you were. I guess there's kids that wet their bed all the way till they're older. But
did you know that frequent bedwetting is often assigned to probe a little bit deeper about traumatic sexual history past.
Yeah, I did know that. And a lot of very famous serial killers had bedwetting problems when they were kids.
Yeah.
That were pretty profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So
well,
not always the case though. So if you have a kid that wets the bed, it's not always the case.
This fear is Lechanophobia, the fear of vegetables.
Oh.
Let's talk about Hank's experience with acquiring the fear of vegetables, which...
What, didn't he throw up broccoli once?
He was like crying and shaking at the thought of having to eat broccoli and put it on his tongue and vomited. Like, couldn't swallow it, made himself vomit.
He had hyped himself up so much.
He had hyped himself up so much.
That's pretty common, though. I remember.
Common.
I know when you were a kid, you didn't really do. Apparently, you were a perfect child when you were when it came to this stuff.
No, I was just an asshole in other ways.
But when I was a kid, I remember having those like certain foods that were like, fuck no, I am not tasting that. Like, I do not put that in my mouth. I remember Brussels sprouts being one. I remember like just certain things were just not. It wasn't going to happen. And my parents would make me sit there. And eventually like I would eat it and like try to choke it down. And I remember gagging multiple times.
Do you remember Hudson
and having the same thing
that
we do now with or we did, when our kids were little, like getting all pissed off at him and be like, you gotta be kidding me. You're fucking gagging. Like, give me a break.
Hudson held stuff in his mouth forever.
Oh, he used to chew for like 4 hours.
Yeah. But now we get mad at him for stuffing their cheeks full because they stuff their cheeks like
now they eat super
hamsters.
Quickly so they can go back to play video games.
Yeah. And we're like, okay, slow down. Just somewhere in the middle.
Dinner is just
in the middle.
An inconvenience in between like video game time.
Slow down. Not that slow though.
Yeah.
Middle of the road.
Fear of vegetables.
Yeah.
That's like something that George Bush would have.
Well, fun fact.
George Bush Sr., right? Didn't George Bush Sr. didn't he hate broccoli? Was he the one that hated broccoli?
I don't know.
Pretty sure.
Fun fact though, people who have a fear of vegetables tend to suffer with malnutrition.
Well, that would make sense because vegetables are kind of necessary.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
That seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Deep fry those vegetables. Get those.
You better have some badass supplements if you don't eat vegetables.
Right. Okay. Are you ready for your last one?
The third one. I'm 1 for 2.
You can go 2 for 3 again.
I can go 2 for 3 again.
You can do it, honey.
Like last time.
Okay. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Genophobia. GENU phobia.
Genophobia. Okay, let's see. Gen could be genealogy. It could be like genuflect. It could be like genocide.
I can help you narrow it down.
Gen is beginning, so means beginning.
In Greek or in Latin?
Gen means I think gen means beginning in Greek. Gen. Gen.
Do you want your hint?
Maybe in Latin too.
I can help you.
Yeah, that's my hint. Sorry, I'm trying to break it down. Break it down.
Your hint is these folks are not likely to attend Catholic Mass.
Genophobia. These people are not likely to attend Catholic Mass.
Mm-hmm.
The fear of that could go a lot of different ways. The fear of kneeling.
A little more. Go a little deeper.
A little deeper. The fear of kneeling and standing and kneeling.
No.
The fear of praying.
Colder.
The fear of kneeling. That's got to be close.
That's real close.
Kneeling is close.
Warmer.
The fear of kneeling. The fear of being on their knees. The fear of
so much closer.
Of falling and not being able to get up. I've fallen and I can't get up.
It's the fear of knees.
The fear of knees.
But it often includes being scared of uncovered knees in person or on screen, fearing their own knees, and also kneeling.
They would also have a problem with porn stars.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of kneeling.
Well,
there's a lot of kneeling on your knees in those porn movies too.
if you have a knee
That's
injury,
what I've heard. I've never seen them myself.
No, of course not you. If you have a knee injury, you can acquire that fear because you don't want to re-aggravate your knee, you know?
Injury.
So you're really scared of doing anything involving your knee.
Well, that would be walking.
Right. But
you know,
it can
activity.
It can also occur from having seen a severe knee injury in person or on TV. And
that really bothers me.
I think about every time I see a compound fracture on TV, and I just can't handle it, even if it's fake.
Yeah.
So think about all the movies where somebody's knee gets bashed in or their kneecaps get shot out, and how that might affect somebody, you know, who could be impacted by this fear to a phobic level. Yeah,
that kneecapping, that's no good.
It's like
what the Irish mobsters like to do.
It's like bite the curb, like that.
Ooh, yeah, American History X.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that seems nar. No, thank you.
Well, you did wonderful. I say you get that last one because you got.
It was close. Kneeling. Well, knees had knee in it.
Exactly, and I kept saying warmer.
Not too bad.
Good job. You did great.
I'm pretty good when I get a hint.
Those of you out in podcast land, he did wonderful.
Once I get in the general vicinity, I feel like I do a little bit better.
You're great at narrowing it down. All those CSI Miami.
Well, that's
episodes.
Jeopardy, right? I mean, Jeopardy gives you like
Jeopardy too.
the general area, and then you get the answer, right? That's. I hope Alex Trebek's okay.
Skills.
Huh?
Applicable skills.
I said I hope Alex Trebek's okay.
I know, me too.
I'm sad. I'm really sad he has cancer.
I know.
It really bums me out.
He's an icon and such a good person, I hear.
I need to get a Trebek tattoo.
You do.
I really do.
Next tattoo.
Yeah. He's inspired me my entire life. I'm a big Jeopardy fan.
I know.
Should I get it done?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe get it done
We've got a friend.
Like those pictures of the saints with like the kind of like the halo around them, like the glowy
I was
halo.
thinking more like a bobblehead Trebek.
That seems disrespectful. Although kind of cool. I like the idea. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know.
Like a Funko Pop tattoo of Trebek.
So we got an interesting phobia today.
Yeah.
Which is I don't know that we haven't really done anything related to like environmental type phobias, right?
I don't think so.
Nothing like in your space. I guess knives kind of. Pointing at sharp objects is kind of like that.
Yeah, it kind of extended out into.
But we have anthophobia. Right? Anthophobia?
Anthophobia.
The fear of flowers today.
Ooh.
Which, yeah, I think that's an interesting phobia.
It turned out to be a lot of fun, considering the folklore and the history around flowers, and watching certain movies where flowers are given special powers, or they become, sort of humanistic.
Yeah.
What's that called? Anthropomorphizing.
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 Yeah. When you take an inanimate object and make it, give it human characteristics, right?
Right.
So with that, let's dive into our phobia. Anthophobia, the fear of flowers. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Drew.
Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast?
Why, yes, I have.
When we were trying to get this podcast off the ground, we had a lot of questions. Like, how do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen to? How do we make money podcasting? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now just by reading this ad.
Right now?
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now?
That means if you want to get a podcast going and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. Join me and Chris and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. We can't wait to hear your podcast. So the fear of flowers, which they're beautiful. I'm looking at some gorgeous What are
Lilies.
those? Tulips?
Lilies.
Lilies.
Mhm.
In our window right now because it's springtime. Springtime is flower time.
And Reno gets confused. We have like winter.
We have
and then
fake
second
spring.
winter and then fake spring.
Right. Yeah.
Which we're probably in right now.
Probably in right now. It's nothing's really flowering outside much yet.
No.
But just starting to. We're starting to see some green buds come up, and there are some things starting to pop. And this would be a terrifying time of year, I would suspect, for an anthophobic, right? I mean,
yeah,
this
you would just
not be
want to
good.
run and hide.
You would just want to live in Iceland, I would guess, or like Greenland, or Antarctica.
Yeah, somewhere where there
are no flowers.
Yeah, where nothing flowers, which even desert plants often flower. So it would be
the desert's beautiful right now. You should see.
Right.
Did you see the pictures?
The super bloom.
Did you see the pictures that Katie took on her my ex-wife? They just drove down to Phoenix, Arizona.
No.
And on the way they took pictures.
Show me those later.
At rest stops with like a bunch of the flowering cactuses and all that stuff. Because everything's in bloom right now.
Right.
Down there, which is a beautiful time to drive across the desert because it's actually desert is actually very beautiful in the springtime.
Right.
But I think this is an interesting topic for me because my family, kind of tying back to last week too. My mom's side of the family is British, and came from central England, south of Leeds, and I don't know, east of Liverpool, I guess. But they came over.
Do you have the coordinates too?
The family came over from England in like the late 1600s. So like we're like second generation Americans, well, British Americans, I guess. And they migrated from like Virginia, like the Virginia colonies, to Middle Tennessee. So my mom was raised in Tennessee, but they were in Middle Tennessee. The family was in Middle Tennessee in like late 1700s, early 1800s, as settlers in like Cannon County and Warren County. Excuse me. And the reason I bring that up is because, growing up, I knew a little bit about my family history, but I've been researching it a lot more, as I've gotten older, because I just genealogy and stuff fascinates me anyway. And I think it's always really interesting to see where you came from. But growing up, my grandmother was like an insanely amazing gardener. Like they had 20 acres in Winchester, Tennessee, and had a huge garden, flowers everywhere. She had a green thumb. I mean, she literally could identify any plant, any flower, like instantaneously.
That's amazing.
I mean, she knew all of them, herbs. It didn't matter. My grandfather, was raised, up in McMinnville, Tennessee, as was my grandmother. They both were. And both sides of their family were nursery men. They were they had nurseries. They had flowers and plants that they would raise and then sell to
I'm sure they
all
carried,
across the South.
Yeah, I'm sure they carried things like fruit plants and vegetable plants so that
Absolutely.
people could raise their own gardens and stuff like that.
Yep. And they would deliver them. And then my grandfather so my great grandfather was a nurseryman, and him and my grandfather would go deliver those plants all over the place. They would take them all across the South. So when he was growing up, they used to go and deliver these things all over the place, these plants all over the place. So, in fact, McMinnville, where my family my mom's side of the family all came from, both sides, multiple different names in the family, all kind of were from that one area. That place is known as the nursery capital of the world. So flowers and stuff, that was all stuff that I kind of was raised with, was that kind of like background of having these gardeners and, flowers. And my grandmother knew all of these things and all their names and all that stuff. And I would always be like, "Oh, Grandma, I'm so bored. You tell me all about this stuff." Why didn't you
take any of that in?
I wish.
It would be so helpful.
I wish I had. Now I wish I had learned a lot of it.
I just kill things.
I know. Me too.
No matter how hard I try.
Yeah. So anyways, I just thought that was kind of interesting that kind of my family's background was that kind of a trade, which I think is really interesting.
Right.
But tell us a little bit more about anthophobia, which is very different because it's not just the fear of nature. It's not the fear, and it's not even really the fear of plants or trees. It's the fear of specifically flowers.
Yeah, absolutely. Or plants that are flowering at the time. Anything related to flowers really incites that anxiety response. But this phobia is really rare. It often happens from a learned association. So something happens that creates a connection in the brain that makes this association of flowers really strong. So a lot of times it can be related to traumatic events like maybe death. Going to a funeral of a loved one at a very
there's so many
young
flowers
age.
there.
There's flowers everywhere.
Yeah, so I guess if you were young and all you saw was the flowers.
An association with grief and death and loss.
That'd be at your eye level a lot too as a little kid.
Yeah.
Right?
You got to think about
and stuff.
And the things that kids look at, the things that draw your eye. Lots of red and white flowers at funerals. Those are typical funeral colors. Also, flowers.
Did you say flowers?
Flowers.
Flowers?
Flowers. Like that girl in the movie.
Flower, like the that was the skunk in Bambi.
Oh, that's right. Good job.
Yeah.
Also, if you have a fear or a severe allergy to bees or wasps or bugs that typically gravitate to flowers, that would also make you aversive to flowers too, because you would want to stay away from those things. And you would hate flowers for kind of drawing those things towards you. Watching something on TV where a flower is involved with something, often the flower is kind of, like we talked about, personified and anthropomorphized. And this whole perspective of like nature taking over.
That's another Disney thing too. Like flowers were always singing,
right,
and doing things, or like
they're always alive,
like waving in the background, doing and talking, and or Alice in Wonderland. There was always those flowers that were talking and stuff.
Right. So there's this fear that develops from one of those many things and gets intensified by the sight of flowers. And now, I mean, by definition, a justified fear is not a diagnosable phobia, and it must cause significant impairment to daily function.
Right.
In
we
order
talked about
to
that
be
before.
called a
Like
phobia.
it's got to be something that inhibits your daily life.
But like with flowers, there are some flowers that should be feared.
Sure.
Like at the Alnwick Castle, which actually it was the setting for Hogwarts, like the inspiration for Hogwarts. Alnwick Castle.
Was that the castle that was actually inspired the actual Hogwarts castle?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Because I know a lot of the plant stuff that they did in that, I'm sure was probably inspired by this thing you're about to talk about.
And Downton Abbey as well. It's the same castle used in Downton Abbey. They may have even used it as part of Hogwarts interior.
Oh wow.
But it's a massive castle, and recently the Duchess of somewhere, I forgot to write it down. The Duchess actually took this one area of garden that had kind of been dilapidated and turned it into a poison garden at England.
And how long ago was that? Was that a long time ago?
2004.
Oh,
I
so it was
believe.
fairly recently.
Fairly recently, the current Duchess. And it includes things like narcotics.
It's a poison
too.
garden. It's a garden of just poisonous plants.
Just poisonous plants. And she talks about how she wanted to educate people not just about the medicinal purposes of plants, but also how plants have the potential to harm. And so everything in there can kill you, has a lethal dosage at some perspective, except for the narcotics section, which they do have poppy plants growing and marijuana and hemp and all that stuff.
And poppy's the basis for heroin.
Heroin, yeah.
Right.
And that's to educate people about the effects of plants, So that's in addition to that as well. But it contains things like angel's trumpet, which is an awesome aphrodisiac, I hear. It's very...
Let's get some of that, huh?
Right?
Get some of that for a Friday night.
Victorian women would often keep a little flower of this near their dinner table and put their finger on the end and take little bits of it because it would induce an LSD like trip, but not be enough to be lethal.
Oh wow!
But the lethal
sounds
dose,
like a blast, man.
Right?
What's it called? Angel's trumpet.
Angel's trumpet.
Ooh,
but the aphrodisiac is it's an aphrodisiac at first, but then it turns into a slow, pain-free death.
Pain-free death.
Pain-free death.
Oh, man, that sounds like. I mean, that's
right.
What a way to go out.
And it's also,
go out,
it's got wolf's bane in it. I mean, every noxious plant you can think of. There are some plants in there that give off toxins in the air that people are made dizzy or sick by when they walk by. So they're warned, don't touch anything, don't inhale deeply between here and here. Really fascinating. So flowers that are deadly, like angel's trumpet, like the lily of the valley, those flowers have the capability to kill. So you're probably justified in being afraid of them.
Even like poison, or are those just plants?
These are specifically flowers.
So those are specifically flowers. They're not just the leaves, like a leaf of a plant.
Right. These are specifically the flowers.
Like wolfsbane is that a flower or is that a plant?
I believe it's a berry plant.
Is it a berry? See, that's the other thing too.
I don't know.
Berrying plants too that have, because there's a lot of berries that'll kill you.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, there's some justified fear with flowers, but then it gets to this unjustified level when it's associated with something like a rose or a daisy or a sunflower. I found some really interesting information about sunflowers in particular.
I wonder if something like the scene in Wizard of Oz, right, where Dorothy, when they're going through the poppy fields and they all, the poppies, and they're all just getting high as shit and
then they pass out
and passing out in the poppy fields. Like that scene itself, if you're watching that as a kid,
that's terrifying.
Could make you think like, what the fuck is going on?
Flower fields make me, pass out and almost die
and get almost killed by the witch or whatever.
Right. Well, and of course, if you have severe allergies, you're gonna be aversive to flowers and times like spring when things are very heavily flowering, and you're not going to want flowers in your home, and you're not going to want to be around places with flowers because it's just freaking miserable.
That's crazy. If you're allergic, right? I mean, that's right. Allergies, it seems like that would, and again, that's
kind of a justified phobia, right? So it's not a phobia.
We talked about like cats too. Like I don't like being in places with cats. Because they're evil, terrible little creatures.
It's a justified fear.
I also am terribly allergic to them.
Right.
So I understand.
It's a justified fear, not a phobia. But
it can turn into a phobia though, right?
You
could be like, I think
it has to reach a certain severity and intensity.
With our boys are both allergic to peanuts, and peanut allergies are very severe and they can be
life-threatening,
threatening. And so you wonder if, and we're kind of lax about it, I guess, compared to some parents, we try to not shield them from, environmental stuff and things like that. Like we're not gonna keep our house completely peanut free all the time. We've got bags of trail mix.
They fuss at me for that. No, I was
we want to teach them that the world's not gonna be wrapped in bubble, guys. Like you gotta.
But they also don't need that level of protection either. You know, they don't have the airborne peanut allergy. So it teaches them and it reinforces to them, like, check things before I eat it.
But they get a little neurotic about certain things too. Like,
they do, especially
even more so than we do, like, which is great. I think that's a good thing in a way because we built that into them, that they need to be conscious themselves. But you worry that, I don't know, they'll never want to go to a baseball game or whatever when they get older because they're worried that they might be around it. Who knows?
We're talking about movies too. Think of My Girl, bees.
Oh yeah,
right?
Bees.
So being around flowers.
Yeah.
There's bees around flowers, watching My Girl and seeing her
Why haven't we traumatized our boys with that one yet?
I don't know.
We got to do that.
Yeah,
I was traumatized by that.
That should occur already.
That needs to happen.
Yeah.
Soon.
But one of the best examples.
What was his name?
I don't.
Do you remember?
Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah, but when she was at the funeral and she's like, oh, what's his name? I can't remember. When she like calls out his name and it's all sad.
No, I blocked it all out. Like a normal person.
I'll remember it in a minute.
But one of the more interesting things I found out was about the fear of sunflowers in particular, where people describe that the yellow flowers actually draw the attention inwards towards that large brown center disc that's been likened to a dark vortex. And sufferers of this fear of flowers, specifically sunflowers, feel that they're being sucked into it, like this feeling of dread and foreboding.
Is there a specific phobia just for sunflowers?
There is.
Does it have a different name?
Yes, but I didn't write it down.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a specific phobia just for sunflowers. Sunflower size also contributes
because they're so
to it
big.
too.
Yeah,
They're so
I can
big.
see that.
They have kind of a human-like size and shape too,
Yeah.
where the head is circular and the body is narrow.
Yeah, they're kind of creepy, man. They really are.
And they move throughout the day.
Right.
So
they move towards the sun or away from the sun, back and forth.
So they can incite this kind of like creepiness about them, or this feeling like someone's being watched,
like you're like it's anthropomorphized, like there's something there's something alive in there. I can see that for sure.
But there's also that crossover with flowers, sunflowers, of course, and trypophobia, which is the fear of
those pores,
of porous holes,
right?
Holes.
Boring holes.
The boring holes.
The boring holes. Hashtag your boring holes, people. We didn't get nearly enough of those.
Hash your boring holes. So I thought that was really interesting with regard to the sunflowers. But with all of these fears, the treatment that's recommended is systematic desensitization, which is just slow and gradual building up of your coping skills and your comfort around the feared object. Hypnotherapy, not hypnotist therapy.
So they're not going to make you cluck like a chicken.
Not magical hypnotist therapy. Oh,
I've been hypnotized before on stage.
Well, okay.
Which is suggestibility.
Let me tell you why I'm mad about this.
Which is suggestibility, which is the difference between like therapeutic hypnotism, and they've got to have similarities though, right?
They have similarities, but
because they both are suggestibility. Ultimately, it's just implanting something in your brain to make you do it, right?
Well, you can't say implanting. You can't implant something. But anyways, let me explain why I'm so agitated with this idea of hypnotist versus hypnotherapist.
Okay.
Because that pylon, Maury Povich.
Oh, we're going asshole Maury Povich again. Maury Povich is an asshole, by the way, which we determined back in our Fear of Chickens episode.
Maury Povich had a string of episodes that were phobia specific.
So there's a whole bunch of these episodes?
There's a whole
We should watch
bunch.
These episodes. We should watch all of them.
It's sad. He is exploiting, maybe not him necessarily, but the producers at the Maury Povich show are exploiting these poor people.
Yeah, it's Maury Povich, and he's an asshole. Maury Povich is an asshole. Hashtag Maury Povich is an asshole.
They start the show off and they're like, oh, my fear, she explains her story, blah, blah, blah. He brings a hypnotist to help her out. And while she is back with the hypnotist, we see a video of what happened before this taping where the producer,
did she have this phobia? Did she have the fear of flowers?
She had the fear of flowers.
So she had anthophobia.
Anthophobia. And the producer of the show dressed up as Jigsaw from the movie Saw and jumped out at her with a plastic flower.
Jesus.
She ran screaming.
Good running.
Through the building. Then the producer tricked her into going to a florist. Where as soon as she saw that she was near flowers, she turned around and ran into the street and was almost struck by a car.
Good running. God, what is the deal with these people? Did they have it wasn't like phobia education was that bad. And this wasn't even that long ago because Jigsaw was around. He couldn't have been that long ago.
So this gal, she had acquired this phobia because when she was a young child, she had picked a flower that was covered in fire ants. And they covered her arm quickly and she ran into the water to try and get them off of her and nearly drowned. So the association with flower was really closely tied with her
traumatic experience,
her feeling of death. And Maury Povich just wants to exploit the phobic.
Just say it.
Maury Povich is an asshole.
He's an asshole. It's now the second time we've found that Maury Povich just liked to exploit people's fears. What a dick. That's not cool.
Because ratings, Maury Povich, 1 star.
Right? Not cool.
Not cool,
Jerry Springer wouldn't have done that shit.
I don't know. He might have.
Probably.
I need to do my research on that first. But anyways, so.
No, Jerry Springer would just bring out some black dudes and some KKK guys and make them brawl.
Right?
Or was that Geraldo? I think he did that too.
I think everybody did that at the end. I don't know. I was always in a fever haze when I was home watching that from school.
Watching the late afternoon.
Ricky Lake.
The late afternoon talk shows.
Oh, yeah. They formed me.
Can you believe Ricky Lake was on that?
Chic
was on that
Chic.
Masked Singer.
Oh, I know, that was interesting.
That was a trip, man. I should have known. There was a couple of Crybaby references in those clues. I should have got.
Yeah,
I love.
Yeah,
Crybaby.
you failed
Good
the
movie.
family. Speaking of movie,
John Waters movie, fantastic movie. Are you ready for the movie already?
Yeah.
Really? No more to say about.
Well, I mean,
flower phobia.
I mean, they've been used medicinally for centuries. Flowers have, in witches' potions. Many medications nowadays are derived from plant substances.
And yeah, so flowers. I mean, flowers have this tremendous. I mean, flowers are amazing, right? We get a lot of our tinctures, and there's lots of things that come from these kind of things, right? I mean,
so I think it would be difficult if you had that phobia to function on a day-to-day basis. It'd be really challenging. You would experience a lot of anxiety. If you were highly anxious because of the allergy portion of it, they actually might prescribe you an antihistamine that specifically works in tandem with allergies and anxiety. It happens to kind of function on both of those levels. So that's a possibility too if you have this fear. But mostly just, kind of addressing it with a therapist, not a hypnotist. And kind of working through the roots of it, talking about maybe the pain that is connected to it, or to the sight of flowers.
This time of year would be really tough because, I was driving around. I was just driving around today and noticed just going up the street right here. I noticed at least 2 or 3 houses that had brand new potted flower plants out in front. So just driving around, I mean, if you were really afraid of these things, it'd be a big deal. So we are going to dig into probably one of my favorite movies. I think it's such a fun movie. It's so great. I have a soft spot in my heart for musicals, and it's a musical with Rick Moranis and Steve Martin, and I mean, dude.
And carnivorous flowering plants.
And carnivorous flowering plant. Yeah. So we are going to we're going to dive into our feature presentation.
And now our feature presentation. It all began in this little shop.
Ow! Damn roses!
Where, strange as it seems, something extraordinary happened.
I'm afraid it isn't feeling very well today.
No, it's not bizarre.
What kind of a weirdo plot does that, Seymour?
Little Shop of Horrors, a story about a boy.
I've given you sunlight. I've given you rain. Looks like you're not happy. Unless I open a vein.
Where did you get such a weird plant?
A girl.
You don't make a nice voice when you live on Skid Row, Mr. Mushnick. Seymour, this is my date, my boyfriend.
A florist.
I'm telling you, Audrey, he's not a good, clean kind of boy.
He's a professional.
You'll be a dentist. You have a talent for causing things. Some be a dentist. People will pay you to be entertained. I've been saving all month for this. I think I need a root canal. I'm sure I need a long, slow root canal. Feed me Seymour.
And a plant.
Feed me all night long. How am I supposed to keep on feeding you? Whoa!
Help me now, I'm just a mean green mother from outer space, and I'm playing. I'm just a mean green mother from outer space, and it looks like you've been had.
Yes! Rick Moranis.
Man's a total disgrace to the dental profession.
Ellen Greaves.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, what? That's better.
Vincent Gardenia, with special guest appearances by Steve Martin, John Candy, and Bill Murray.
It's your professionalism that I respect.
Little Shop of Horrors.
I've given you sunshine.
That's such a fun trailer.
I've given you dirt.
Ouch. Dang, roses.
You give me nothing but heartache and hurt.
Ooh, sing it, baby.
I love it. I freaking love it.
It's a killer soundtrack.
I have a real soft spot in my heart for musicals, man.
Yeah.
I grew up being a big fan of musicals.
And this is a good one too.
It is so good. It's so fucking good. I love it so much. How can you not be? You can't not like smile watching this movie. I mean, if you just hate musicals, then yeah, you won't like it.
You would not smile. You would frown.
But you know, I mean, horror musicals are pretty rad. I kind of like the fact that there's this kind of little horror musical subgenre, right? Like
I love that.
We've got
the rom-zom-com.
Rocky Horror Picture Show. We got Little Shop of Horrors. We got Anna and the Apocalypse. We just watched recently is another one. I like that subgenre. I'm a big fan. I like it a lot. And you know,
take us through the magical journey.
The fact that Little Shop of Horrors, this wonderful little 1986 flick.
What a great year.
Good year. That's the year you were born, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I was 5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hot little 5-year-old.
And the fact that the man-eating plant says tough titty like 4 times is great too.
Hudson laughed super hard.
Tough titty.
And then at the end when the plant
feed me, Seymour.
Well shit.
At the end.
Hudson like cracked up and lost his mind.
If you haven't seen this movie, you need to, because it's so good. And honestly, like, yeah, it has a lot of singing. It's got a lot of singing. It's got a lot of theatrics, but man, it's got freaking, well, let's do a quick synopsis real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll get into the cast, because I want to talk about this cast and the director and the composer. Like every element of this movie is so good. Like it deserves some time and energy. But the movie is, it's about Seymour Krelborn, who's a nerdy orphan, and he's working at Mushnick's, which is a flower shop in urban Skid Row. And he harbors a crush on fellow coworker Audrey Folkward. And is berated. He's berated by Mr. Mushnick daily. He's a pushover. He's a doormat. But one day, but he's really into plants. And so one day as Seymour is seeking a new mysterious plant with no luck, suddenly a solar eclipse happens. And after the solar eclipse is over, he finds a mysterious unidentified plant just sitting outside of this Asian flower market. And he buys it or gets it, and he names it Audrey 2 after his crush. And the plant seems to have a craving for blood. And soon he begins to sing for his supper.
Ooh.
And then soon enough, Seymour feeds Audrey's sadistic dentist boyfriend to the plant, and later Mushnick himself for witnessing the death of Audrey's ex. Will Audrey 2 take over the world, or will Seymour and Audrey defeat it?
Bum, bum, bum.
Spoiler alert, they defeat it.
Yay.
But it's just such a fun, it's a rock musical comedy horror. That's kind of the genre that this is, which is a totally cool deal. But it's directed by Frank Oz, who, a lot of people don't know who Frank Oz is. And Frank Oz is like the ultimate badass. The guy was Yoda. He was Miss Piggy. He was Fozzie Bear. He was Animal. He was Sam Eagle, all in the Muppet Show. He was Cookie Monster. He was Bert and Ernie.
He was all the good stuff.
No, sorry, he wasn't Bert and Ernie. He was Bert and Grover in Sesame Street. But yeah, and also known, especially as Yoda in the Star Wars series. But this guy was a director. He was a producer. He was a puppeteer. He was an actor. He did everything. This guy is freaking amazing. Like Frank Oz directed Little Shop of Horrors, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, What About Bob? Director of What About Bob?
Dude, that is my favorite
That's like
therapy film.
Favorite all-time movies.
We use that in cinema therapy all the time.
Yeah, so the guy is just a stud. And so he directed this. And honestly, this could have been a very, very different film, because it was originally David Geffen who produced it. originally wanted to get Steven Spielberg to produce it. And originally it was attached to Steven Spielberg to produce it. And Scorsese was going to direct it.
Whoa.
Would have been a very
What would that have been?
Would
like?
have been a very different movie. And then at one point, John Landis, who did, John Landis, who we've talked about, who did Animal House and American Werewolf in London and all those movies, he was attached to direct it at one point too. So it could have been a very different movie. Like there's so many ways that this movie could have gone, but I think the Frank Oz with the puppeteering and the background he had with Jim Henson,
Oh, it was perfect.
and stuff like that, it ended up being, this very kind of interesting little musical. And the background of this movie is really interesting because it came from, it originally was a low budget 1960 film by Roger Corman. And if you know Roger Corman, you know that he's like the king of exploitation films. Like he's the one who came up with Joe Bob's, boob requirements in the movie.
Mhm.
That was Roger Corman's. That's Roger Corman's. That was his. Philosophy.
Is it his boob baby?
His boob.
Is it
his
his
boob
boobie?
philosophy. That was his philosophy. His philosophy was like, this is the way that we make a good exploitation film. We make it like this, and we make it like this, make it like this. But originally he had done this movie, Little Shop of Horrors, in 1960, and it was actually a much darker movie. I just watched it the other day.
Yeah, it has a different ending, right?
It's just different. It's just very different. There's not a musical. It's just darker. It's just very, and honestly, I was watching it while I was doing something else.
Not a musical.
But it was
I'm
very,
out.
very different. And it also featured Jack Nicholson as the masochistic dentist patient. And it was his very first film role.
What?
And he was a baby. I mean, he looked like a baby.
So he played the masochistic patient, and then he went on to play One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah. Oh, that wasn't too many years later.
No.
Yeah, that was what, late 60s, early 70s. So, very different type of deal. And then Alan Menken, and I can't remember who else came up with it with him, but they came up with this musical stage production, and developed this musical theater, like composition for this movie, and turned it into a musical. And then it got adapted to the 1986 movie that we know now. And Menken is another guy, the composer for this movie, who came up with all this insane, amazing music that's in this movie. Dude has 9 Oscars,
Whoa,
11 Grammys,
dang,
and a Tony Award,
shoot, dang,
among other, awards and tons of other stuff. I mean, the guy did Little Mermaid, which we all know every song to.
Mhm.
Anybody that grew up in the 80s knows every song to Little Mermaid. Everybody knows every song to Beauty and the Beast. We all know
oh hell yeah,
Aladdin. We all know Pocahontas. He did all of those.
Talk about iconic.
Newsies is another one, which I remember I loved Newsies when I was a
really?
kid.
I wasn't into it.
There was that was probably the time era too. It was, Newsies came out in like 92. So I was like 10, 11 years old or whatever, and just loved that movie. And it was another musical, kind of fun musical kind of deal. But that guy did a ton of amazing stuff. So that's the background of this movie. Like, amazing director, amazing composer. And then you just have this cool ass story with Rick Moranis playing Seymour, and Rick Moranis in his own right. I mean, SCTV guy is fucking brilliant comedian. We always think about like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters, absolutely.
And then dropped off the face of the freaking planet when his wife died of cancer.
Until.
Oh, and Dark Helmet in Spaceballs.
Yeah, he was Dark Helmet.
And then they just dropped off the face of the planet. He didn't act anymore. He was just his wife died of cancer in I think 97 or something. And he just was done. He said, I'm going to raise my boys. He had 2 boys, and he just quit acting. And basically he's only been really done like 1 or 2 little things.
He reprised his role as the voice of Dark Helmet.
As Dark Helmet in the Goldbergs like last year. And that was like
Mhm.
one of the first things he's done in like 12 years. And there's word that he might be starting to get back into the business again now that his kids are older, which would be really awesome because he really is a genius. Like, the guy is just wonderful. And such a great comedic actor, And then Ellen Green is Audrey, who you love.
Ugh.
You love her voice so much.
Ugh.
She really bugs you, doesn't
I
she?
can't stand it. Sip me.
I think it's wonderful. I like her voice. I really like those weird, like, high-pitched voices.
I just can't.
Those weird
It's not
squeaky voices.
necessarily that it's high pitched. It's how she carries her voice, if that makes sense.
And that's kind of the role. She was playing this overdone ditz. I mean, that's kind of the
I know.
role
I know it was
right?
the role, but it doesn't mean I can't be annoyed.
Yeah. And so then we have Ellen Green as Audrey. We have Steve Martin as the dentist, which is just a fucking great role too. Like so good. And he plays it so perfectly. Levi Stubbs is the voice of Audrey 2, the plant. And he was in the band The Four Tops. What was the song I was singing earlier? They've had so many hits. They've had a ton of huge hits in the 60s. Sugar Pie Honey Bun.
Yeah.
Sugar Pie Honey Bunch. That song. You know that I love you. That's Levi Stubbs. He's the voice of Audrey too. And then we have all these amazing cameos too. We have Bill Murray. We've got Jim Belushi. We've got John Candy.
Yeah, everybody's
Christopher
in this
Guest.
thing.
And not only that, but the Ronettes who pop up throughout the whole thing. You've got these girls singing this like doo-wop and stuff going on.
They're the the flowering buds.
And the buds too. Yeah, the buds singing too. That's also them. That's Tisha Campbell Martin as one of the Ronettes, who's Gina from the show Martin, the Damn Gina.
Damn Gina.
And then one of the other girls in that little three-part harmony deal is Tachina Arnold, who's also in Martin. So little 90s show, late 80s, 90s show throwback. So like everywhere in this movie, there's like people that you recognize. And it's just so good. So good. You said you had some breakdowns of some of these characters.
Yeah,
too.
These characters psychologically are super interesting. So I'm going to start off with just kind of talking about like the overall analysis of this movie from like a psychological perspective. And really what it feels like we're watching the development of Freud's id and then ego and super ego battling it out with id. And so we can think
where did you get this from? I'm interested to hear this analysis.
Oh, you come with me, baby bird. I'll feed you. So come with me to a place where Audrey 2 plays the part of Freud's id, which is the base instinct, the animalistic side of us, the primal part, the feed me, Seymour part.
It's just all give it to me.
Mm-hmm. Give it to me. Give it to me.
I need natural.
He's very sexual too.
My base instincts.
Yep, he's very sexual too. He's feeling up
very
on
sexual.
Audrey 1.
It's a very sexual movie too. It's
really
a super
sexual
dirty movie,
plant.
Really. The whole movie is. I mean, there's a lot of characters that throw out some dirtiness. The dentist.
And then we've got the original Audrey, who really, when we look at it, she plays more of the super ego, perfection, attainment, has to do everything right. Everything drives her moral decisions, even if, somebody hurts her, like Oren, the sociopathic dentist.
Yeah, but she goes along with it. She's like
does. She's a codependent
like
too. She's a codependent in a domestically violent
he's hooking
relationship.
Her up. He's got her all handcuffed up every night.
Now that's different if it's sexual.
And he makes her call him doctor.
That's different if it's sexual. That's a whole different ballgame.
Call me doctor.
And then the ego would be Seymour, fighting between the superego and the id for control and for balance. So think of how when Seymour begins to feed the id and to focus on the id, it starts with his unchecked based instincts when he sees the dentist attacking Audrey 1. And he finally goes,
enough is
that's
enough.
it.
He's gonna
Yep. I'm going to feed my id. I'm literally going to feed my id. And as he feeds the id grows stronger and stronger. And he gets really out of control, obviously. Like ids in all of us can, those primal base instincts can get a little out of hand and take over reason if we're not careful.
So he ends up going out and even committing murder
So Seymour ends up doing
in order to feed
right
to feed Audrey 2.
Audrey 2. Whereas, Audrey is this other side where she's just trying to be so perfect, and she talks about even without makeup, you see me and you still love me. She doesn't have to put all these fronts. That's some major superego talk right there, wanting to be perfect and never
Don't need no makeup.
Yep, there you go. Wanting to be perfect and never lose control. Never lose control. That's super ego, right? And so Seymour has this battle throughout the entire movie, and we see at the end, he tries to ditch the plant. He possibly is going to sell this plant off. He tries to kind of get rid of the plant, and that can kind of be parallel to the experience of how we can never really be free from our dark side. We can never really be free from our id or our base instincts.
Wait, are we going back to Dark Helmet here?
Dark Helmet. Back to the dark side. We can never really
with you.
We can never be free from our dark side. We have to rein it in and learn to control it before the chaos of our dark side destroys
Interesting.
everything.
I like that breakdown.
So yeah, and then at the end we see this little smiling bud, right? This little wink at the idea that no, I'm still here. The dark side is still here. If you feed me, I'll grow. If you water me, I'll grow. So
Interesting.
Do you feed?
So we all have that deep dark inside of us, and then if we at any time we could feed it or choose to feed it or choose not to.
Right. It's parallel to this old Indian story where a young boy sits on his grandfather's lap and says, do you know that there exist two wolves? And they are at a great battle. One is the wolf of good things, the good for others, love, joy, contentment, all good things. And the other one is the wolf of bad things, of resentment and fear and anger and jealousy. And they are constantly at war within all of us. And the little boy asks, well, who wins, father? And the grandfather says, the wolf you feed.
Right.
The one you attend to.
Yeah, the side of you that you give the most attention to is the one that's going to win out, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Seymour is actually an allegory to the experience of traversing the world, of balancing your superego and your id sides with your ego conscious side.
Here, I just thought it was about this crazy alien plant that was going to take over the world.
No, and I also wanted to mention that there's actually a lot of diagnosable properties in this movie. Like the dentist is obviously a sociopath. He's
a sociopath with strong sadist.
He gets
tendencies.
So much sexual satisfaction from inflicting pain and misery.
He
talks about not caring about it, about no resentment, no nothing. He's a total sociopath.
He's definitely gets his kicks off out of beating up on Audrey. We know she comes in with a black eye. She talks about how he uses handcuffs. He has to, the whole it's like the whole BDSM thing where you must call me sir. Well, he likes to be called doctor, and she can't finish a sentence without saying doctor at the end. Can I get on the motorcycle, doctor?
Do we know that that's all sexually related, or is it ego? Is it his ego?
It's both for sure, but it's both for sure. But they definitely hint at the fact that it's definitely sexual, because there's a couple of lines that Mishka asks, when he asks her about like the relationship, and she's like, well, I spent a lot of time in handcuffs last night, or those kind of things. There's a lot of handcuffs. There's like 5 handcuff references, so there's definitely.
I totally missed that.
Definitely. Oh, how did you miss that?
So there is some sort of like a sexual overlap.
Big time.
Okay.
Yeah, big time. And then we have the Bill Murray character,
who is absolutely just
gets his jollies off the pain.
He loves pain.
Yeah, he's the masochist who wants he wants to go sit in the dentist chair and get work done.
He asks for a root canal, which is insane.
Without any, and then he starts
just like moaning and just like, oh yeah.
He doesn't want any painkillers. He's just totally getting his rocks off.
So yeah, extreme versions of both, sociopath and
and not only that, but so what's interesting about that too is apparently Bill Murray, like being Bill Murray, didn't like. They filmed for a couple of days on that scene, and he ad-libbed the whole thing. All that was in the script was just groaning and like joyous moans.
Oh my god.
You know, and he ad-libbed the whole thing, and it made it really hard for the editors to actually film the scene because he had to.
Because he was probably laughing.
Because he was constantly throwing out different shit every time. You know.
Now, I did hear about this movie, and tell me if you read this too, that actually the filming of all of it took place mostly in two days. One full day and one full day into
I
night.
did not hear that.
Oh.
I don't know. I did not hear that.
My source may be inaccurate then.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. It's possible because they were talking about a couple of scenes taking a couple of days each. So I don't know.
Mm.
I would think that would probably be
internet grain of salt.
That would
That's
be
okay.
rough. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. I didn't see that in any of my fun facts or trivia, which I have a bunch.
Well, you
of.
Also didn't see the id, the ego, and the superego coming, did you?
No, but I did find a lot of cool trivia about this movie.
Ooh.
There's a bunch of cool shit. That like a lot of this, you know, one thing about this movie too is like the plant itself was all a puppet.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they had a whole team of people working to make this puppet come alive, which I thought was super cool. And I love that kind of practical stuff anyway.
You can't call it a plant. You have to call it a flowering plant.
Flowering plant.
Or the masses will get mad that we chose it.
We chose this. Yeah, I know.
Episode.
We chose an anthropophobic movie that was more about a plant than about a flower,
But it existed in a flower shop.
But it existed in a flower shop, and Venus flytraps do flower.
Right.
So, and there was some flowers.
Plant.
There were some flowers
at the end
around on the vines and stuff in various places. So, you know, if you had a fear of flowers, I'm guessing a giant toothed carnivorous flytrap, alien flytrap that talks would be fearful to you, I would suspect. But yeah. But in the dentist office, originally they wanted to make it much more horrible and like grungy and like blood splattered. They wanted the whole place to be like completely blood splattered and nasty, and all of the instruments to be covered in blood when he was working on people. And apparently the test audiences didn't like that very much.
They're like, he's sociopathic. At least make shit clean.
So they had to clean up the scenes.
Make it sterile.
They had to clean up the scenes for the reshoot because apparently it was too horrific for them to deal with. The movie
1980s audiences. Oh no.
What? Yeah.
Hell no.
The movie inspired a board game, which I remember commercials for this board game when I was a kid, by Milton Bradley called Feed Me. And it came out in 1987 where players had to drop marbles into the giant flytrap's mouth, which I thought was really fun.
What was the game?
This is the only movie where Bill Murray and Steve Martin appear together.
What?
Isn't that crazy? I thought that was kind of.
I feel like they should.
You would think they would have been together in more places.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Weren't they in Zombieland?
No, Steve Martin's not in Zombieland.
He should be.
No. But the puppeteers, and so all these puppeteers that worked on Audrey too, were all Jim Henson veterans.
Muppeteers.
And one of the operators was Brian Henson, who was Jim Henson's son, who we've talked about before on this podcast because he was
Dark Crystal.
He was Jack. He was Jack. No, he was Jack in Return to Oz.
Well, also Dark Crystal, right? Wasn't he involved in that?
Don't know. He probably was involved. I'm sure that's a lot of Jim Henson too, but he was Jack. You know, Jack the Pumpkin or whatever in Return to Oz. He played that character.
Nice little crossover.
Yeah. So he's come up a couple times. But that puppet in Little Shop of Horrors is amazing.
So complex.
It's so cool. It's amazing. But so earlier we were talking about Audrey and how you don't like Audrey and her suddenly You don't like Audrey's
Sounds
voice
like
at all.
she's choking back.
Do you know
vomit.
who they originally had planned to cast in that role?
I do not.
Cyndi Lauper.
What?
Cyndi Lauper was the original. Was originally the one offered the role.
That kind of would have been super badass.
It kind of would have been cool. I don't think it would have been a completely different movie though.
It would have, but it also would have kind of been.
Because honestly, if you look at the 1960s one, like Cyndi Lauper is not like that bimbo-y, sex symbol-y kind of girl.
She could be,
but it's very different than where. It would have been a very, very different movie, I think, because that original, Audrey had that very kind of boppy. Cyndi Lauper probably could have played that as well, but I don't know. And Madonna was also considered for the role.
See, I could see Madonna too.
Madonna was also considered for the role, which I thought was kind of interesting too.
That might have been her British phase, so she would have had to learn.
Way before that.
She would have had to learn English accent.
That. No, that was not till
I know.
way later. The dental tools that were used in Oren's office and in Steve Martin's office during the Bill Murray scene when he busted out all the tools. They also appeared in Tim Burton's Batman in 1989.
Oh.
And they were used on Jack Nicholson's Joker when he fell into the chemicals, which is a cool tie-in because Jack Nicholson, this was his first role was Bill Murray's role in Little Shop of Horrors. So Jack Nicholson's first role was the role that Bill Murray played, and those same tools were used on Jack Nicholson in Batman.
That's weird and obscure.
I thought that was a fun one. But I love this movie. I think it's so much fun. I love the music. I think like as a musical, it's fantastic. I've always like thought like if I was ever in a musical, this would be one that I would love to do because it would be.
You would want to be the dentist.
So I would love to be Steve Martin's character. Yeah, it would be awesome. He's got that sweet Elvis vibe to him too. Like he totally played it like all like rockabilly Elvis-y, just
you'd have to shave your
fun.
Beard.
But yeah, I really enjoy this movie. I think it's super fun. And I mean, it's a man-eating plant. So,
a man-eating flowering plant.
Man-eating flowering plant. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that is our feature presentation. We didn't do any honorable mentions, but I did have a couple in mind, but a lot of them were just plant killer movies, right? Like straight up. Like I felt like Little Shop of Horrors, it kind of looks like a flower in its little potted plant, in the movie, and it has flowers coming out of it. But there was a couple other movies. The Ruins is one, I think is what it's called, where like vines come out and like attack people. There's definitely a handful of movies we could have kind of honorably mentioned, but I'm kind of getting away from the honorable mentions just because our episodes are, we don't want them to go too crazy long. And
honorable mentions should really only come into play when they deserve to be honored.
Mentioned. I think when you find something that's really spot on that you're like, I can't decide between these two movies. I have to do these movies. So
we've got enough shit.
We'll still bring them back for sure. But Little Shop of Horrors and Fear of Flowers seem like a really fun
4 stars, fun family ride.
Fun family ride. We let the boys watch it and they had a blast with it. They enjoyed it. It's a good family movie.
Oh shit.
At the end, he liked the oh shit line. But it's a classic, man. Check it out. Little Shop of Horrors. That's our episode. Anything else that you want to talk about, honey?
Do we have any idea what we're doing next week?
I don't. I've gotten to where I'm not going to look ahead. I don't want to start on anything else until
you just want to focus in the now.
Yeah, and I want to, we'll make it a surprise.
Good. That's very mindful of you.
We don't need to we don't need to tease it yet.
We don't need no stinking teasing.
Right now, just share Little Shop of Horrors, share Anthophobia with your friends this week, and please rate us and review us. Check out our social media, all that fun stuff. Our dog is getting antsy.
Yeah, she's antsy. She is
dying to have you go throw the ball to her.
Play, ball.
Yeah, she is nonstop. She was getting pissed at her in the middle of the episode. She was like, she had to get up and like. That's why she should always be locked in the bedroom.
No.
Yes, during our podcasting, she should be locked in the bedroom. It's a good idea. But with that, let's close out episode 12 by instructing our Feardos, all of the Feardos out there, to what?
Stay afraid. Stay very afraid.